Right, so everything now is being recorded. Be polite, be courteous to your classmate, to your teacher. So in the entire discussion, no, be silent or turn off your microphone for us not to distract as well as to your classmate and can focus to our discussion. And later on, in the after the discussion, so you can turn on your microphone for you can address some questions or clarifications, whatever it is. So let us start now the discussion now for our lesson 4. Right now, can you see the presentation? Life and Works of Jose Rizal, GNED09.
Yes po.
Okay, great. Thanks for your confirmation. So here is the lesson 1 about the Philippines in the 19th century. So what it's all about now during the 19th century one period in the Philippines. So here is the introduction about what happened to the century in 19. So we have here now considered as upheaval because of so many problems, so many devastation, so many things that been done no, or been ruled no during that time. So we have so many things no that have changed, and also many influences no have given to us, and we embrace it no from the colonizer. And right up, no, ayan, nagbago, nagkaroon ng changes and different life events in history and our time. So we have a feeble one no, that been changes to our cultures, of many changes no, of a drastic one na nangyari. It was experienced no, not only in the Philippines but also in Asia, no, other parts, Europe, and America. So these are the search of inevitably and compared to sea of tides, which significantly changing of affecting the lives and fortunes of the people of this one. So in this century, it also deemed an important appreciate understood the life and works of Rizal and how the historical background of the world, but great emphasis to the situations of the Philippines during his time. So precisely, it is more on describing of Rizal times, no, and of course with our colonizer, the Spaniards, or the Spanish one during their reign here in the Philippines. So here are the some of the subtopic that is included in the 19th century. So first one, let us first talk no the economy. So for about 1830, no, sabi dito, the flowering of the nationalist movement will never be possible without the economic growth that took place in the 19th century. So that's why. Then the growth of export of economy in those years gave an increasing fortune to the Filipino that belongs to middle and upper class, as well as in the Western merchants, specifically in the British and Americans. So by that year, no, because with the help also of the Spaniards, we now can co-barter now with other countries. We can now sell. We can now produce goods no, and products, and then sending it to them and use no for some uh, products na needs din nila. And they will begin no, to barter with other parts no in the world also. And little by little, no, as Filipino, increasing no yung sinasabing fortune no for our business opportunity no to know as Filipino more. And we have here no it is not noted that the supply of the both machineries and consumer goods were provided by the West no but not from the Spain one. So yun yung mga some scenarios that you may get no from it and the evolution of changes no, that been discovered and been given to us no, as we grow within the business industry, specifically in economics. So the Philippine foreign trade for the beginning, middle, and end of this period were remarkable in these years as to give the impact of the changes in the economic progress. So the export of agricultural products was the main source of flourishing of economy as one of our a barter system that we exchange from other country. So well are known Philippines as agricultural products like yung mga rice farming as like what happened doon sa mga life and history during Rizal period, no, na mga trabaho ng ating mga fellow Filipino men, no, and our ancestors in the early times, no, during that period. So we have here, no, it was due to the rapid growth of the population led to high demand for rice. So that's why, no, uh, we work more and we have no cultivated more lands growing for the uh, farming rice, no, or the one that we have used, no, for farming, or we converted it. And the highest profit goes to the provinces because mostly, no, of the provider of this price or yung mga farmer na yan are coming from the central Luzon, no, like here in the Batangas and some parts of the Bicol region, Negros and Panay. So these are the parts that we provided, no, of a gross number of the products ng rice or coming from the farms na meron tayo. So the Filipino hacienderos sa Pampanga, Batangas, and Western Visayas, and the prior order, no, owning the large hectares of land ng Bulacan, Laguna, and Cavite, and the Incalinos, no, the leaseholders of the agricultural land of the priors, no, haciendas. So from that one, yung mga ating ancestors, masisipag talaga tayo. Tayong mga Pilipino, sabi doon nila, hindi tayo mga barbaro, no, na kung saan alam natin paano i-cultivate yung mga lands that we get from our ancestors, no, mga mana, and our a land that we own, no, personally, and it was being get, no, illegally by the priors because they have no power from the reign during that one yung King of Spain, so that's why they get it, no, from us, no, by force. So we as Filipinos, no, don't have any use of means to fight for this, but eventually, no, we forgive it, no, yung mga rights natin, and that's why they get all our own land, vast land, no, na meron tayo. So from that one, such, no, Laguna is one of the most of the vast land, no, areas are owned by the priors, no, of these priors or these priests before. So going back, no, mostly sa mga before na gumagamit yan are mga tenant o yung mga tawag na inquilinos, no, o yung mga nangikiupa, no, o nakikigamit, no, ng mga lupain, no, na meron tayo from the hacienderos na mga meron tayong malalaking lupain na hawak, no, o mana nila. So many of these inquilinos, no, were equivalently, no, hacienderos in their own right before. But they don't have, no, a formally rights of having, no, yung land title, and then the way they understood, no, of rights of is this is one is mine, and this is thing that is I have no number of hectares, no, of what specific number of measurement is this, no, they have owned. So passing from one generation to the next, the lands they rented from the friars, no, hacienda, and farming they then become means, no, of their shared tenants or kasama what we called. So from that one, so this stood in semi-feudal relationship would consider no different from the existed relationship between owner, hacenderos, and other tenants, no, relationship into communicating, no, with the shares of the income, no, and the profit that they have got, no, from operating, no, their lands, and uh, the income that they get, no, from selling of the products, no, from these lands, no, na ginamit nila. So here, the Chinese ancestors of Rizal, here na si Domingo Lamco o si Lamyong tawagin, came from Binyan of Hacienda in the 18th century. So during that one, the average holding of an inquilino, no, of measures, no, of square meters of the land is 2.9 hectares. Very much big, no, very much large, no, of the wide array of the space that they occupy, no, of the inquilino na meron tayo o yung mga tenants natin during that time na inuupahan nila. So after Rizal family moved in Calamba during the 1890s, no, yung nanay at tatay niya na si Doña Tidora, no, at si Don Francisco, yung kanilang sarili, no, na yung kanilang sariling na inuupahan nga na sorry, yung kanilang sariling bahay is sa kanila na, and then they have rented no for this no yung kanilang lupa na sinasaka. For that no yung kanyang tata, yun ang trabaho o naging kinabubuhay nila no, or one of the means of earning a money during that time then no, even you are finished na some course. Though the Philippines does not no grow more for some industrialization or for some innovative no during that time. So one means of earning money is yung farming no, and yung pagtatanim no is a, it's a uh, it's a means no to support no of their families in sustaining no the needs of their families, the shelter, the foods no, the expenses, shouldering of for educations no, and for health also at the same time, and other expenses no na meron tayo, like the celebrations, like yung mga tithes nila in the church no that need to be given no to the church. Next is the, and the next stage is as the land grew no, in value and rents were raised. So medyo nagmahal, medyo tumaas, no, medyo mataas yung demand, kaya ganito siguro. So a friction came between the inquilino and the haciendas. So mostly the friars are haciendas. So yan, medyo forcefully they intended to ask for the rent no, na magkano yung demands nila ng mga asyenderos na to, or asyenderos na to, ng mga praile, as they honor the rights of the people no during that time ng mga Pilipino. So that's why napilitan sila no, na magbayad ng mas mataas ng buwis. So mas lalong lumaki ang kita no ng mga asyenderos ng mga praile na ito na nangamkam ng mga lupa ng mga Pilipino no, na sinauna, na tinanggalan nila ng karapatan dahil nga doon sa sinabi ko kanina, they asked for a power from the reigning king of during that time sa Spain. So we have here no, a combination of traditional method and modern no, efficiency to let dispute over who should gain the largest profit no, of way of gaining money or getting the money in the distribution of the shares. So in these circumstances, it led to questioning the priors the right to haciendas, no, foretold an agrarian revolt that also happened no, when Rizal go back here in the Philippines, and some of the farmers no asked for help to list down no, of some abuse decisions of the friars that affect no in the rent, giving the renting and paying for the renting, and then also uh, uh, getting all the lands no that majority of the Kalanba are owned by these priors, though they are not born here and they are not the one who is no our ancestors or the one who has started here no of uh, cultivating our own lands. And we have here no of the revolt na tinawag na, so it started with it na meron tayo. And some prosperous inquilinos now will challenge the friars' ownership of land, which will be politically and economically motivated to weaken the influence of friars in the political system. One. So it's an ano rin po yung issue during that time. And very political system yung pinagagana dyan dahil philocracy din po yung idea ng kanilang government, in which no majority in the government that run is under in the influence of this no of the priors that we have yung mga bishops no that have seen no, in the movie or in the other works of Rizal that have told within the story. So let's go with social. We are done with the economic. What happened no, and changes through that time in the specifically no, in the Philippines no, and in the province of Calamba, in the which is specific no place of the land of our hero Jose Rizal. So we have the social issue, which is now the Spain become less willing or able to promote the prosperity in the Philippines in terms of education. So yan, instead na mas i-cultivate, i-harness para mas sumagana ang ating mga Pilipino dito at makinabang ang Pilipinas, ang naging problema, ang mga Espanyol ay naging makasarili, and later on it result to no a centered of Spanish government. So the education is and more on focus on the religion, and then they do not know give no more emphasis of giving help no for the Filipinos to earn more degree because they believe na tayo ay mga mangmang, and then yung mga barbaro nga na salita at ng mga Indio na tinatawag as to give no them the description as a Filipino. So of course you have social. So yung ating social time during that one no medyo restricted. So yung mga Guardia Civil that the one who promote the peace and order and the security no are the one uh, give us injustice no for some reasons medyo mataas yung tingin ng sarili nila sa sarili nila, and we are as Filipinos no during that time no are only no or we always obey them no, and we greet them at the same time. So yun yung mga ways of how we respect no yung mga higher authorities during that time. In a social one we have yung social, we have yung mga fiesta barrios no, at the same time we have some uh, festives, we have some activities or events that happen during that time you know in the Spanish period, that also we have a visitors na yung mga matataas in the Spanish government no here in the Philippines no na nakaupo, or mga current no higher officials like the governor general, the mayor no, mga kabesa di barangay, kasama na noong mga praile no, mga bishop at mga matataas na rektor dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. So we have also yung religious sector, yung mga sector na yan na meron tayo in the social life no are mostly no sila yung mga makikilala natin makikita as higher authorities like yung mga Augustinian Recollects, mga Jesuits, or they operate more here in the system in the Philippines, yung mga Dominicans, no, at yung Augustinian nga, one na meron tayo, and Franciscan po. So we have the government tended to stay with the famous Spanish rule because our basis no, of our government is depends on the motherland no, of the Spain na meron tayo. So more on the devotion of Filipinos to their Catholic faith one that we have our practice during that period or during that past time na meron tayo. So the secularization, the one that I have told you in the previous secular, a secular group na meron tayo, are present here no by the regular and the secular one. So we're in the regular no priests belong to religious no groups or orders like what I said as an example, or four groups of the religious no that came here no to spread the Christianity, and the one who ruled no for our education and different setting no of teaching us and different aspect and manner of life that we have. So we have here no yung Franciscan, Dominican, Augustinian, and Augustinian Recollect and Jesuits, no. And Rizal experience no of the teaching doctrines of the education, even the spread of Christianity and the teachings no of Christ sa Jesuits are they are fairly no they are really good no in terms of teaching no and cultivating of the moral of the students. And as per experience of Rizal of the Jesuits of the school nila, which called no the school name is Ateneo de Municipal, and right now Ateneo de Manila, and before it called no Escuela Pia no. And we have, of course, the Dominicans, no, the University of Santo Tomas that reigned for 100 years na, no, and have served, no, for many years for giving an education for us Filipinos, no, not only our fellow early Filipinos before, but also right now who is no uh, running for many center of excellence in education no, in terms of becoming excel no different ways. So we have here no na authorized of managing religious education and life, and later they acquire no, the influence of political power in the 19th century. Well, because of their popularity and because of their power of the king reign of Spain during that time, so that's why they become more powerful and then influential no, in our society. So what they want to do, they want to be or want they do in their lives or to control into the Philippine Archipelago, the priest no may command no the governor general as they ano po pleasure na meron sila. So the governor general works for the pleasure of the governor general for the pleasure of our fathers during that time. So that's why now from time to time for a short period of time yung changes or the uh, transition of new government no or administration from the unusual one na meron tayo na dapat for at least 6 years, 3 years. But here, no, during that time, they changed it no, for a month pag hindi nila tipo or hindi gusto ng mga praile or hindi sumusunod sa kanilang mga gusto yung mga governor general as they serve no, for their pleasure. So we have here now that the conflict started when bishop insisted visiting the parishes run by the regular priests. No, the regular priests argued and refused to visit, claimed that they were not under the bishop jurisdiction. If bishop insists, they threatened to leave the parishes, the one that they accompanied to, or they live for no and work for this no for many years or for many or for a long period of time. So as they ano po they their job no and jurisdiction. Also priests, bishops no and other nuns get into trouble no with their own no, po, problems. So in their own management, in their own ways of treating no, the people in their under of the power na meron sila. So we have here no of other situations that happen that count no here no. And let's move to the another one no na meron tayo on the latter part that also no become a main issue of the three priests no na martyr na tinatawag natin, the three martyrs no. So here, Father Mariano Gomez, Father Jacinto Zamora, no, and Father Burgos, no, are the names no that attach here para sa mga martyrs na yan. So because of some issues no na meron tayo and some considering no na pwedeng maging concerns no during that time that become no unopposed to their power or to their desire. That's why no itong mga paring to become no victim of this mga desires ng mga pari during that time. So because for of course of one reason that happened that revolt no in Cavite, that one that caused no of main problem that make it big no, an issue for some priors, and that's why no they make no a big decisions for these three friars na nangyari na nabitay no, o nagarote sa kanila. Next is the educational system no during that time in the Philippine setting no by the rule of the Spaniards. So we have educational system that lack of systematic government supervision because no, during the Rizal's time in studying no in elementary he stay in Binyan Laguna with the supervision of his maestro or teacher maestro Justanino Cruz, and they teach only no in the house no or inside the house of this maestro with other boys no students na meron siya doon na nag-enroll. And of course we have no limited na curricula, that there's no academic freedom in the school as prescribed no qualification of their teachers that they may teach to the supervision of each one. Moreover, no, in this situation, some of the teachers no are praised no or fathers or ruled by these following names that called no maestro and fathers or teachers or yung kanilang mga advisors. From it, yung mga nangyari doon, the teachers no influence also and also know how they treat no other people, and they have also students coming from their country or people who have born here no like yung mga Spaniards na meron din tayo pero blood nila ay Spaniards or yung mga Spanish one no that here they birth no they are born here in the Philippines. So they live here now for long or period of time na meron tayo. What do we have more is the over emphasis to religion. So they teach no the religion as included in the curricula. They move yung day nila with starting of a mass no or a sacred mass or yung misa na tinatawag from early in the morning no na meron tayo sa madaling araw. Then inside the class they pray before and after no na meron tayo ng class, like also yung kanilang sa hapon they celebrate yung mga some festives na meron sila if they have no or yung mga some traditional no na ginagawa natin like as Christians nowadays or mga Roman Catholics are also practiced during that time. But more on the medyo old style yung kanila na meron tayo. Unlike ngayon na meron tayo. So they teach more on the emphasis of religion and they see it no as one of the guide no of their lives na meron sila. But more so, more of the priests no, they don't live no with the guidance of this religion or Bible. So they live no in the uh, worst life because no maraming sa kanila puro mga masasama or mga iba ang ugali, hindi yung turo ni Kristo ang ginagawa nila. So kabaliktaran yung dapat na makita natin. So like how they discriminate no the Jose Rizal time ng kanyang pag-aaral in UST no. And while in Jesuits no in the Ateneo Municipal, maganda naman yung treatment sa kanya. They encourage more, they build more yung kanyang arts aspect, no, or they have learned more strategies no, and learnings from their or from his professor during that time. We have learning by root not particular no to hats no you have higher of order thinking skills. So more of the learning that they do no in the educational system during the result time is more on memorization. That's why no it does not no goes with the hats na tinatawag natin yun, the higher order thinking skills. Obsolete teaching methods, meaning those old no teaching styles are still using no and existing to this teaching way of no of learning na meron sa educational system during that time that must be no cut and must be not used on our system because we are now changing society and must be adapting no and innovative in such a way we can learn more ideas and promote no to gain more learning for our students. So obsolete teaching methods are still used during that time so that students cannot be learned no and maximize their potential learning. So that's why medyo mababa o bumabagal yung kanilang potential to grow more in the educational setup that have here in the Philippines by the teaching of the priors. So mga nasa simbahan kasi yan halos lahat yung mga schools. Many of our schools before are run by Catholics, no, priests. We have also yung poor classroom facilities that we don't have no an enough equipment, that we don't have no an enough facilities to do our learning no tasks and many more that included inculcation of our learnings or facilitating of our own learnings. Absence of teaching materials, no, lacking, number one yan. And of course, no, hindi lang sa lacking, talagang wala it because they use the word absence of teaching materials. They're only teaching no in the front of the desk or in the front of the classroom and then they don't have any references, they don't have any use of materials as they teach no like yung what happened during the stays in UST. So mostly yung mga apparatus are being displayed only on the cabinet and this is not used good for the education or for teaching for the Filipino students now who are enrolled in that particular subject or particular course that demand for these materials or equipments. Neglect on the primary educations no since we don't have no of the proper like here no the K to 12 plan no are equipped no to our students from kinder to grade 12, the one that cultivate no the how the individuals no mas ka-inculcate no or mas harness their learning and the guidance also of our teachers no that they must be given to us, but because of neglect on the primary education, that's why no many of us Filipinos no did not gain enough learning or information that we needed no for us when we are developing our personality and are developing our cognition aspect no our cognitive one no aspect. So we have the absence of academic freedom. So that's why mostly of the Filipinos during that time no are yun nga umaasa lang and heavily dependent no to Spanish priors no or mga teachers natin during that time on their teachings the way they teach us. So yung academic freedom like here in the Philippines or in the Cavite State University, we can use no any reference, we can tackle everything, we can be no collaborative, and we can be exchange of information from each one of us who knows no the topic that is discussing right now, and many things that we have na sa ating mga of educational sector. So we have here no the racial discrimination are the one that not been erased or not been avoided no to a Filipino during that time. So racial prejudice was prevalent no or talamak no in the government offices during that time that uh, ang mga Pilipino ay hindi pwedeng pumasok sa matataas na pagiging opisyal o maupo sa matataas na posisyon. So, mostly ang mga Filipinos are from alcalde mayor going down no sa mga position na yan, not an up na meron tayo and the higher one. So, again, in courts no of justice, whereas Filipinos no did not get no the right justice no for us na 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 nagbibigay no ng karampatan sa atin as our human rights. So what do we have more in the Philippines no what happened? It is no in the arm of forces na meron din tayo in the social circles and even the educational institution and ecclesiastical no hierarchy. Walang mga Pilipino before na katumbas din ng pagtingin para sa mga pari o nagpapari o naging pari ang kanilang mga pananaw, which is no mababa pa rin ang tingin nila sa mga Pilipino, though they still acquired or they are become no professional no in that setting or setup no of their chosen career or vocations in life. So medyo talaga yung discrimination ay makikita natin and how they see no or treat us Filipinos during that time. Well, definitely it's an evident no that happened also in the University Central de Madrid no when he Rizal no supposedly he finished no yung yung kanyang dalawang degree, but unfortunately no still he cannot be accepted no to teach no in the degree because of the racial discrimination, because he is a Filipino and at the same time no of the color of the skin, at the same time medyo mainit din sa kanya ang mga praile during no his stay in Universidad Central de Madrid. So yun yung mga some of the reasons no behind of the story of Jose Rizal na experiences niya uh, na ano po niya directly no experience no from it. And next is the Father Jose Burgos no complained the Spanish misconception that a man's merit depend on the pigment of his skin, as like what I said, and of course in the height of no of his nose and the color of his hair in the shape of his skull. So they complained the lack of opportunities for educated no young Filipinos to rise in the service of God and country. So this is the fight for Mr. or Father Burgos no in the Ateneo Municipal, though still many of the priors or the fathers no or other Spaniards, Guardia Civils no, or blood that runs no in their body of Spaniards are do not accept no of Filipinos no will lead or become a superior. They are see as no as an inferior one, and we don't have no a place for them or for time for na mas maangatan natin sila. So that is their notion, and they are think no to us Filipinos as what have they treat no us and see us no na meron tayo. So yan nga yung mga some of the experiences na makikita natin. So we have here no in Rizal time, white skin, a high nose, Castilian lineage no were badge bounded superiority. So just like what I said no, they called no that person no who have at high or tall no height na meron tayo, and person who have pointed nose, who have a white skin, they are called no or the one who is superior. But in the uh, ayun nga, in some setting like what happened no in school of the Rizal, and as experience no, marami din siyang mga kaklase no na mga naging kakompetensya no, and Rizal no become one of the superior and number one students when he stays or studying in Ateneo Municipal. So when he entered in UST, yan, medyo he broke up na yung kanyang uh, thinking and re-envision of learning no doon sa kanyang pag-aaral sa UST, kasi medyo nang mamata, and the prejudice are very much no high to the Filipinos no on how they treat no the Filipino students during that time. But then again no, he became no one of the superior no, or yung tinatawag natin no ng mga grupo nila during that time that consider no as superior na meron tayo. So yun yung emperor po na tinatawag. So yun yung badge na nakuha niya during that time also. So a Spaniard or mestizo were privileged for political and social prestige in the community regardless of their capability. Well, actually, mostly of the Spaniards no that stay here in the Philippines no, that goes here no from also from Spanish or Spaniard or in the Spain, ay mga hindi magagaling or mga patapon na mga uri no ng nilalang kung tawagin ba. Kasi one time, so narinig ni Rizal no na ano yung purpose that they convinced them not to go here in the Philippines, that we don't have a proper education, we don't have a great opportunity here, but they still no going here no for sabi na ang reason is for the sake of the yung kayamanan na kukunin nila sa mga Pilipino, and at the same time magpakasal sa mga asinderang mga anak no ng mga ito na merong mamanahin at mangwarta no o mangikil dito sa mga Pilipino. So yun yung mga meron tayo that did happen no, during that time, and as they experience no to the Filipinos na meron tayo and how they see and treat us no tayong mga Pilipino. So yun yung mga some challenges or some of the experiences no, na nakita rin ni Rizal no as he observed no na meron tayo. So next is the forced labor. Well, actually, yung forced labor ay sa pilitang paggawa, no, isa sa mga kilala na tawag na polo, na kung saan no, sa pilitang ipinatutupad yung mga otoridad ng Espanyol na ang mga kalalakihan ng Pilipino na makisangkot no, sa pagpapagawa ng mga istruktura na katulad na lang ng simbahan, no, mga paaralan, mga hospital, no, at mga paggawa ng kalsada at mga tulay at mga yan paggawa rin ng barko at mga gawaing pampubliko ng mga trabaho. So ang mga Pilipino during that time ay inuutusan no o binibigyan no ng kanilang sa pilitang trabaho nga na yan, the white Spanish were exempted to this labor na pinatutupad nila. Then Filipino polistas na are supposed to receive daily stipend of 2 pesetas of 50 centavos, but later on it not happen no or did not receive no as to response or as to receive no with their support with the yan yan yung public works na kailangan ng gawin. So they don't receive no any monetary in exchange of their work. So yun yung nangyari. So it become inconvenience to common people as disturbed now by their work in farms and shops. So yun nga, dahil sa sapilitang paggawa, napipilitan sila na kakaroon din ng kaso o problema that they encounter with their own duties and job with their earning money no, na meron sila. And during that time also, so yung halagang binabayad doon sa paggawa no, ng mga tao, nagbabayad din sila ng pera para makaiwas. Pero yun nga, meron pa rin mga times na it's still no na yung sa pilit ng paggawa ay na pwersahan na pa rin na ipapatupad. At kaya nawawala ng silbi yung kanilang binayad na palya po no na bayan. So, yung pa nga meron tayo is yung mga edad no 18 o 16 hanggang 18 na gulang no. Sila yung mga pinag sa sapilitan no na paggawa na meron tayo. So, meron din tayo na kung saan ito yung ating cultural na aspect na makikita na key factor in the development of nationalism as the cultural development happened in the 1860, no? This broad change, no, for us Filipinos during that time, yung mga ancestors natin. It has become commonplace to speak the role of ideas na learned in the Listrados group of people who obtained education from the group, or they called no elite, or the people that sent to other nation just for no of an enough or a proper education and go here no as to serve for the country. So we have here no, some emergent national movement of example, Jose Rizal, Marcelo H. Del Pilar. So, naging attorney, naging isa sa mga may-ari no ng La Solidaridad, naging isa sa mga nag nagtulak no ng ating makabayan na gawain no tung dalawang to. So Rizal become a doctor no, become a good friend no ng mga friends ng kanyang propagandista during that time. So they propagated no of road progressive no ideas in newspaper and essays during that time. But later on yung sabi ko nga yung La Solidaridad na abang pahayagan ay naging isa sa mga away nila na kung saan they cause no and split no the same time. So that's why nagkaroon ng botohan, nagkaroon ng grupo ng Pilarista at Rizalista, but later on no hindi rin naman tinanggap ni Rizal na ang pagkapanalo no ay ibinibigay sa kanya sapagkat gusto niya na magkasundo ang mga Pilipinong nandoroon, may ilan lamang tayo na dapat magkaisa, hindi dapat na nagkakawatak-watak. So yun yung kanyang pananaw. And because of that, no, inaka na ni Marcel Stelfilar yung panunungkulan. So they split and the result came back here in the Philippines nyo. And then nagtayo siya ng La Liga Pilipina na samahan. So, but because of that, yung La Liga na yun, mas napainit siya. Then, naputol din no at bumalik din at ito nga si Rizal inaresto at naputol na rin yung kanyang pakikipagkomunikasyon o paggawa doon sa kanilang samahan ng La Liga Pilipina. So we have here more on the agenda focus on the spread of the higher education among the middle and lower middle class Filipinos who could not afford to go abroad. So dumating sa point na nagpapadala sila dito no ng mga pag-aaralin upang no mas marami pang mga kabataang Pilipino ang mas yumabong ang kaalaman at mas magising ang kanilang espiritu no ng pang-aalipin sa atin no, ng mga Espanyol. So next is the one of the major influences on the educational development during the 19 was the return of the Jesuits. Before kasi yung mga Jesuit was been removed here in the Philippines, and then after for a several years they come back here no to for a return to continue their education no for us Filipinos no that they have started before. And after their return no, so they return na and with ideas and methods of the Philippine educational system, they now brought here now of how they teach now the Filipino students right now or during that time. So they asked Ayuntamiento to supervise na the municipal primary school, rename Ateneo Municipal, and open it to the Filipino students as well as to other no who wants to go with this no school, and also in Spaniards no that had been founded within. So during the 1865, it had been transferred to secondary school that offer no yung kanilang school and colleges na system. So they offer no the Latin course, Spanish, Greek, French, and English as do give no the course or the subjects with their students. So yeah, as a result started through philosopher no Tasio, so say that Philippines owes the Jesuit no beginning the natural sciences and soul of the 19th century one. So we have here the direction of Jesuits under educational institution are open. No, it was named as Escuela Normal de Maestro or Escuela Pia, and it was open no, and during the 1865 as providing speaking no Spanish one teachers. So these are the primary school system. So educational institution embodies na under progress and many more as the threat na in continuance in the Spanish rule. So we have here right now the Ateneo that did not taught the concept of nationalism or the liberate principle of progress of their students. It is more on the imparting of the humanistic education in literature, science, and philosophy, inculcating principles of human dignity and justice. So that's why Rizal no developed furthermore his talents no, in literature in making no, yung poem, essay, story, mga humorist, satirist, no, and the science, of course. He developed also yung philosophy thinking niya and inculcating of human dignity and justice as the way to look and weigh the situations. So we have here the eyes of Filipino students had been opened to much wider perspective. So meaning to say, many of Filipinos now are become more good no thinking our listener and moreover no observer of our new perspective no of education and because of the arrive no in Europe na meron tayo mas lalong namulat o mas naging mas matalino tayo mga Pilipino and become no aggressive na rin sa mga pinagagawa sa atin ng mga Espanyol because of too much no slavery and too much of controlling our life with their wants no and their desires no to their wants not to be who will be and want to be with not all sorry all in that time it was noted that the Filipino nationalists were much less appreciate no are appreciative of their education institution run by the Dominicans one. So yun nga kasi pangit yung turo, hindi fair yung treatment to the students that they have, yung kanilang teaching styles are obsolete, no, and of course they don't have no materials they needed no for teaching no, their students and they have a lacking no, of some of the materials or absence of equipments inside the learning setup mode. So we have here now the final cultural factor in the race of nationalism was the interest of our history. So strategy was inspired from European. The Germans is mostly preoccupied with history and ethnology one. So we have the European to see importance of such historical investigation in essential to creation of national consciousness among us no, countrymen Filipinos. So we have yung ating vinisip before ni Morga, yung Sucesos de Islas Pilipinas, na isa sa mga nakita ni Morga na ang bansang Pilipinas ay babagsak no sa pamumuno ng Espanya at di lalaon ito ay makukuha o masasakop ng Amerika. So di nga naglaon yung pananaw na yun at nakita ni Morga sa kanyang sinulat na kanyang pag-oobserba ay uh, biglang nangyari no sa daling salita isang propesiya na kung saan ay nangyaring totoo na nakita mula dun sa aklat na sinulat niya ng Sucesos de Islas Pilipinas. So, yun yung isa sa mga makikita natin. And the one he noted no, of Jose Rizal, of the works no, ni Morga, yung Sucesos de Islas Pilipinas, na kanyang tinignan at pinag-aralan mula sa iba't ibang library in the European countries no, to examine the information inside of this. And of course, no, to see the some situation that have changes. No? And of course, meron lang sigurong mga pagkakamali din si Rizal kasi a note no, the book of Morga ng Sucesos de Islas Pilipinas as to portray what happened right now as to compare with these past history or events that been happened before and right now it may be not be existing or may not be applicable no for this application. So what do we have next is the political no aspect. So we have here no yung politika na meron tayo. So malaki talaga ang impluwensya at yung paghahari no, ng mga praile dito sa Pilipinas. So yan, nakikita natin na kung saan yung impluwensya nila, na kung sino yung gusto nilang matipuhan no, na magiging isa sa mga Governor General by their influence, no, yun yung kanilang ilalagay o itatalaga as their wish for. So like here what it is being mentioned over, no, is the instability of government lead to an impossible attainment of consistent policy in the overseas colonies that we have. So like other colonies na countries that by the Spain, yung mga Cuba, no, Ecuador during that time are part of it, no, ng ating uh, uh, tawag dito, ng sakop ng Espanya. But later on, no, dahil sa rebellion at pabago-bagong ng mga grupo na namamahala, it later, no, end with, no, of the pagpapatalsik sa mga Espanyol. And they become now independent. So tayo lang yung bansa na natira for long period of time na under of the Spanish, no, government. And they treat us, no, as slave one, are not, no, fairly as to have this to mga Spaniards na to. So the cases use the Philippines as handy dumping ground of the reward party of those officials and job seekers. So yun yung mga isa sa mga bagay na nakita natin and how they discriminate us, no, as we apply for. So waiting for all the full packets come from the Philippines Fruit of Labor. So most of them, their money came from the Filipinos who work hard, no, in the all day and all night na meron tayo. So that's why, no, they become more and more wealthy, and that is not because of their pagiging masipag or pagiging isang pagiging talino, but uh, pinagkaisahan nila ang mga Pilipino at nang isa sila sa mga Pilipino kung saan tinaasan nila ang paniningil ng mga buwis at pagrenta sa mga kanilang di naman tunay na pagmamaaring lupa. At kasunod din doon yung mga paghingi ng mga tithes at mga pera, no, na sabi sa simbahan daw gawain, pero sa kanilang bulsa dumadiretso ang mga perang ito. So the Filipinos were deprived of those few positions they formerly held na eventually replaced by Spanish. So yung mga bureaucrats, no, who had interest of knowledge about the country, the corruption, abuses of Guardia Civil, discrimination. So these are some of the experiences that we may know, like in discrimination and unfair justice system, like what happened to Rizal. So yung kanyang pagbabakasyon, going back here, no, sa Kalambang, from his study, no, in Manila, nakasalubong siya isang Guardia Civil, madilim na paligid na o madilim na ang itsura ng panahon o ng lugar, so hindi niya napansin ng Guardia Civil. So unintentionally naman na hindi gagawin niya yon. So that's why hindi niya inaakala na merong isang malaking pangyari na kung saan pinarusahan siya dahil hindi lamang sa pagsaludo na ginawa dito sa Guardia Civil, at dahil nga ang kanyang dahilan, no, hindi niya nakilala dahil sa madilim na ang lugar o ang environment na meron doon. So from that, nagkaroon siya ng sugat, humingi siya ng tulong at ng hustisya, pero later on, no, tung hiningi niyang hustisya at isinumbong niya ay hindi naman na bigyan, no, ng karampatan, no, na aksyon dahil sa isa siyang Indio at isang Espanyol or Guardia Civil yung kanyang inireklamo. At higit sa lahat, gumaling na kanyang sakit, pero ang kanyang o ang kanyang mga sugat ay gumaling na, pero ang kaso at yung pilat na dulot ng sakit na ginawa ng Guardia Civil, no, ay nananatili pa rin. So yun yung mga isa sa mga some unfair justice system that happen, no? Like for his mother, no, na isa sa mga kinasuhan, no, ng paglason. Like din yung father niya na hindi pagbigay din, no, ng tamang buwis, nasabi doon sa naniningil ng buwis dahil humihingi ng isang alagang hayop, but because of brought up by peste or some problem of the environment, no, so that's why hindi niya napagbigyan. So mas tinaasan niya at naging injustice yung paniningil, no, doon sa kanyang hinihinging renta na kinakailangan. Like yung mother niya nga, isa sa mga bagay na kung saan na pinaglakad mula sa Calamba, no, going to Santa Cruz noong Cabecera dahil dito sa naging kanyang kaso, no, and nakulong siya for how many years, and of course tinulungan siya ng mga magaling na mga abogado dito na nakatira sa Maynila para tulungang makalaya. So yung mga unfair justice system for how many years that they serve, no, without any justice, no, ayan, na-experience din ng kanyang mga nanay at tatay po. So there's an inequality of taxes, like what I said, no, where hardest na challenge the political development in the Philippines, that they ask for, no, payment, no, for a higher or a bigger amount for their inquilinos, no, o yung mga tenants na tinatawag, no. So that's why, no, they need to pay more and they need to work harder just to pay, no, the higher amounts of rent or yung taxes they need, no, na bayaran or nakaset, no, to pay for it. Next is the struggle of liberalism, no, na meron tayo in our country. So the Spain was largely influenced by two opposing ideal, French Revolution and the American Revolution. So tayo lang naman Pilipinas, ang sakop ng Espanya dito na sa Asia na lamang. Ang Singapore iba ang nakasakop, ang Hong Kong iba ang nakasakop during that time, and other place na in Asia, no, na meron tayo. So afterwards, no, yan, tulad ng America, they came here, no, and they invade us na Filipinos, no, and then they tried to get, no, our country. And yeah, to use and become, no, American part yung islands natin. So this influence could be seen in the struggles of a Filipino in the constitutionalism. So like what we have in the liberal who works in the constitutionalist, inspired by ideals liberty and equality, and such opportunity. We have also the Spain, no, and the people and enjoy the human rights, and the other hand, conservatives, no, who wanted to retention of monarchy. That's what we have. So yun yung mga some issues and changes that we have seen the struggles and liberalism on the changes, no, of our new colonizer and people now will reign here in the Philippines, and the one who will be supervised for us. Kasi medyo devastated na rin tayo noon, bagsak na tayo for uh, for for long of years na slave na tayo ni Spain. For of course, no, we are bombed. We are also na encounter ng mga American war. So medyo devastated na talaga, and sobrang dami na ng mga hindi na kaya na bumawi agad ng Pilipinas. So medyo matagal na panahon pa ulit. So we have the Bourbon dynasty na that we have from the reigning king and the monarch country, no, of the Spain, that what we have na who are ruler, no, in the constitutional, no, of the Spain, and also apply here in the Philippines as to affect of the political system, no, that what we have. And by this, no, yung mga ating mga reign at hari dun sa namumuno na yon are the one who controlled us, and they bring or they chosen, no, people who may no rule or maybe manage us by this, no, tinalaga nila. The instability of colonial administration, isa yun sa mga bagay na kung sana hindi nagkaroon ng matatag na administrasyong kolonyal ang Espanya dito sa Pilipinas. So sabi ko nga, nagkaroon sila ng madalas na pagbabago, papalit-palit ng napahamalang Espanyol sa mga ministro na kanilang mga hinawakan. So yung mga partido ay nag-away-away, nagkaroon ng revolusyon, at saka ng pagbabagong politikal na iba't ibang pananaw. So madalas din ang pagkakaroon ng di katatagan dito ng politika na resulta na sa malaking epekto, no, ng alakaran ng Pilipinas, dulot na nagdala ng madalas sa pagbabago ng patakaran mula dito nga sa atin papunta sa mga iba pang mga kolonya na madalas, no, pagpapalit ng mga opisyal. So they brought more many problems and caused, no, confusion, and at the same time lalong sumiklab yung mga revolusyon and changes of uh, changes of the leadership, no, the one that colonized with us during that time. So we have here na yung and so the corrupt colonial officials. Actually, yung mga corrupt officials na yan, they get no only money here. Kinukuha lang nila yung mga wealth, no, ng mga Filipinos. And of course, piniperan o ginagantuhan lang tayo nila sa madaling salita for how they treat us, no, Filipinos na meron tayo na kayamanan or mga kakayahan na meron tayo bilang isang mga Pilipino. So in short, itong mga waling opisyal ng kolonya, no, ng ating bansa, ito yung mga official, no, na kung saan, no, sa mga karamihan dito katulad ng mga governor general, mga huwes, no, mga ehekutibo sa mga panluluwigan, no, at iba pa ay pinapadala dito ng Espanya dito sa Pilipinas yung mga yan ng mga hindi naman mahuhusay at mga dedikado, no, ng mga kawani na hindi man sila kitaan, no, ng mga magandang ugali. So sila yung mga tiwali, mga opisyal na malulupit, yung ugaling makasarili, at talagang walang karapatan, no, na manungkulan dito nga sa atin sa bansang Pilipinas dahil sa kanilang mga itsura ng kanilang mga ugali. So yun yung mga meron tayo sa ganyang mga bagay. So katulad na lamang ng isang pangyaring ito na ginawa ni General Rafael del Izquierdo, no, during that time, yung ginawa kila Padre Gomez, no, Burgos at Jacinto nung martir noong mga taong 1872, na kung saan, no, na kinamuyan ng mga Pilipino itong general na to dahil sa pagbitay sa tatlong inosenteng Pilipinong pari. So yan yung nangyari. Isa sa mga bagay na mga masamang ugali, no, na ginawa nila. So to move, no, we have here yung mga some experiences na that happen na meron tayo na nakikita natin. So sabi ko nga, tinitingnan nila tayong mga Pilipino bilang isang mga ignorante, no, na barbero, no, or isa rin tayong mga muchacho na kung tignan nila. So yun ang mga nakita natin, no, sa ating mga sarili o sa kanilang bibigbigay sa atin ng treatment. Bukod doon, no, sabi ko nga kanina, marami din silang mga bansang sakop, hindi lang ang Pilipinas, susama ang Cuba, ang mga Mexico, ang Guatemala, so katulad ng Chile at Argentina. Yan yung mga bagay ng mga lugar na kanilang mga nasakop. So bukod doon, karamihan nga sa kanila ay mga ignorante at walang alam sa tungkuling hinahawakan. Kaya mas lalong tumataas yung kanilang mga lumalaking ulo nila, naging hambog, no, at mas lalong mapanlait sila sa ating mga Pilipino. So dahil nga sa kanilang uri at saka ang itsura na meron sila. So yumaman lang naman sila dito para sa mga parang illegal, no, sa pamamagitan ng kunyari pagpapakasal, no, sa mga heredera or mga asyenderang mayayamang Pilipino dito sa Pilipinas, sa mga sugal, no, paniningil ng matatas na buwis, kasi ng mga paring yan, at kung ano-ano pang pagkakitaan ng pera na pwede nilang uh, isahan ng mga Pilipino. So we have the Philippines representation in Spanish Cortes. Well, actually, ito, nakuha natin yung suporta at the early days or early times, yung kauna-unahang pagkakataon na magkaroon tayo ng representasyon sa taong 1810 to 1813. Kasi sa mga maganda yan na nakuha nating mga delegado, no, o delegada na si ito nga pinangalan ng si Ventura de los Reyes, isang masipag na nagpursige ng maging aktibo, no, sa pagbalangkas sa konstitusyon ng pagiging demokratiko, no, dito nga sa pakipagpartisipasyon natin na isa sa mga lumagda ng konstitusyon, that later on hindi naman naging successor tong mga naging delegado, no, sumunod na mga nag-participate at nagkaroon niya ng abolition, no, sa mga parting yan at di nagdulot ng mabuting kabutihan. Kaya yun, sumama lalo at hindi nagkaroon ng mas magandang treatment when it comes to justice system yung ating mga Pilipinos para maibigay natin ating hinaing. Hindi katulad ng ibang bansa, meron silang mga representative, hindi katulad sa atin, hindi tayo nila binibigyan ng oportunidad na makipag ugnayan at kilalanin ng ating karapatan bilang tayong mga Pilipino. So hindi kasing sipag, no, nung nauna yung una nating hindi pinadala sa delegado, no, na pagiging demokratiko. So asosasyong ito ang konstitusyon na gusto nila nating ipaglaban. So bukod doon, meron din tayong mga hinaing na kung saan masakit dahil sa mga bansang katulad ng Cuba at Puerto Rico nagkaroon ng representasyon na sinabi ko kanina na hindi tayo ginrant o binigyan ng tuong pansin. So, ibig sabihin, naging lamang po, no, one-sided o hindi tayo binigyan pansin upang gawin, no, na magkaroon tayo ng isang aktibong representasyon natin mga sarili para dito nga sa hustisya at yung human rights sa tinatawag. So, hindi nga na nangyari nga yung pangyayari na yun na gusto natin, na gusto ng mga Pilipino na halos lahat. So we have here yung, ayan, philocracy na tinawag ko kanina, na kung saan isang bagay, no, yung paghahari ng mga praile dito sa Pilipinas, na ang simbahan ay estado, no, ay magkasama sa kanyang unyon na hindi nagkahihiwalay, o laging pinamamalakaran ng simbahan o sunod-sunuran ng estado sa simbahan sa kanilang mga gustuhin, no, na namamamalakad sa kanilang mga lugar. O tinatawag ito, no, na pamahalaan ng mga praile tong gobyerno natin dito sa Pilipinas. So bukod doon, ang mga nandito nga na sinabi ko, katulad ng mga Franciscano, Agustino, tsaka Dominicano, sila yung mga dominant, no, seculars group na kung saan mga panrelihiyon, no, na nagkokontrol ng ating edukasyon, ng gobyerno, ng ating ano po, ng ating pang mga panggawain, no, sa buong bansa na meron tayo. So yan yung mga kapangyarihan na kaya nilang gawin na political at impluensya, no, na kasama na rin ang kayamanan dito sa Pilipinas. Kung kaya't malaki talagang sistema ang nangyari na kabuluhanan o kaguluhan dadala ng mga praile na namahala dito sa Pilipinas. At sila rin naman ay mga nakatago, no, sa ngalan ng pamahalaang sibil, na kung saan inaabuso nila tayong mga Pilipino sa kanilang mga gustuhin o gawain na mga ginagawa. So, katulad nilang ng mga otoridad, no, ng Governor General at mga alkalde during that time, ay control talaga nilang lahat ng to at napasusunod nila sa kanilang mga gusto. So, katulad na lamang ng mga bayan ng mga bandang Muslim o ng mga Mindanao, hindi nila kaya itong pasunurin dahil lamang, no, sa mga hindi nila kayang impluwensyahan, o yung mga lugar na ito ay hindi nila ah, ah, totally nasakop na kabuuan, no? Yun yung mga bagay na hindi nila kaya, at iba pang mga kabundukan, no, na meron tayo. So, bukod doon, ano pang meron tayo is the Guardia Civil, na kung saan ang ating mga tagapagtanggol, tagapagpatupad ng ating mga ah, ka kaayusan, no, na dapat sila ang nagbibigay, no, ng tulong sa atin, pero sila ang mas pinakamumiang, no, simbolo na tinatawag ng mga malulupit na mga Espanyol, yung mga Guardia Civil, o yung tinatawag na constabulary, or yung sa Tagalog, konstabularyo. Yung constabulary na yan, sila yung mga nilikha, no, na inatasan na katulad ng mga pulis, no, ngayon, na iniugnay, no, doon sa katulad ng pamamahala ng mga Espanyol and Espanya doon sa Spain, no, na mother country, na pinapunta dito na siya mga ngalaga sana at magpapanatili ng mga kapayapaan, no, dito sa ating bansa. Pero hindi nangyari yun dahil nga wala naman sila naiambag ng mga mabuting serbisyo na dapat magsugpo, no, sa paglaganap ng mga problema dito sa ating bansa ng mga panahong iyon. Bagkus doon, puro pa nga abuso at pagmamaltrato, no, para sa mga inosente, mga pagnanakaw, no, isa sa mga bagay na ginagawa na, pero hindi nila ginawa, at yung pa ang ating mga naranasan, no, sa kanilang pamumuno o sa kanilang mga uh, ginawa dito sa Pilipinas. So, sa mga bagay na yan, isa sa mga bagay na pwede nating ilarawan din, no, ng mga pangyayari na kinuhaan sila o kinuha na sa pilitan, katulad na lamang, no, na illegally possessing of the book of the novel ng kanilang ginawa, no, ni Rizal during that time, na hindi daw dapat binabasa at hindi daw dapat hawak, no, ng mga Pilipinong ito, katulad ng mga kaibigan niya na gusto magbasa nito. So yun yung mga bagay na nangyari na naging isa sa ating mga parte nung pagmamalupit, no, ng mga Guardia Civil, na instead na magbantay at bigyan nila tayo ng seguridad. So next is ito nga, equality, no, before the law na meron tayo. So katulad niyan, isa sa mga bagay na kung saan tayong mga Pilipino, no, ay hindi nila nirespeto at binibigyan din ng pananaw ng magandang treatment, no, because of our brown skin o yung kulay, no, At yung mga bagay na yan, isa sa mga dahilan nila para maging superior sila at tayo maging inferior na tinatawag. So like what do we have here, no? More is the maladministration of justice na meron tayo. So yung korte, yung real audiensya, no, yung system ng ating justice dito sa Pilipinas sa kapanahonan ni Rizal ay talagang corrupt na matutulad o masasabi natin. Sila rin ay mga hindi maalam o hindi sila yung mga talagang magagaling pagdating sa batas, no, katulad niyan. At yung ating mga desisyon na gagawin, no, ay wala lagi, no, sa kanilang mga kaalaman o hindi doon sakop ng kanilang kaalaman yung kanilang ginagawa. So that's why ng Filipino talaga mas lalong bumagsak, mas lalong naging kawawa tayo, no, in terms of dito nga sa pamamalakad ng mga Espanyol dito sa pananatili na sa Pilipinas. Yung human rights denied na to Filipinos, isa sa mga bagay na hindi natin na mithin, no. Sabi ko nga, yung ating gustong mangyari na magkaroon tayo ng kapagkilala na sa karapatang pantao na kailangan, no, na tayo mga Pilipino na dapat din na may tinatamasa katulad din ng mga Espanyol at ibang bansa na sakop nila. But because, no, yan nga hindi nga nangyari yun. At isa sa mga bagay na dapat na meron tayo na tinatamasa natin at meron tayo na dininay, no, during that time, katulad na lamang ng yung freedom of speech, di nangyari yan. Yung freedom of press, freedom of association, and other human rights. Yung freedom of association, lahat, no, eh hindi pwedeng gumawa ng mga grupo o mga asosasyon na pwedeng kumalaban sa mga Espanyol. Isa sa mga mahigpit na binabantayan nila. Binabantayan nila yung freedom of press na kung saan yung mga balita at mga masasama, no, na kumakalaban para sa kanilang imahe, ay hindi nila pinapayagan. Katulad ng freedom of speech na tayo para maisiwalat natin ating mga kaalaman at mga pananaw ay hindi pinapayagan, nalabag din sa kanila, no? Isa sa mga bagay na kung saan hindi natin matanggap. So, only the religion, it's the one that can exercise during that time. So, like Catholicism nga lang ang meron tayo. So, they denied also the rights of the other na meron tayo human rights ng mga Pilipino. So that will be the end of our discussion for this afternoon, no, na medyo mahaba, no, yung kanyang kasaysayan ng pamumuno dito sa Pilipinas that we have experienced, no, by our ancestors, no, particularly dito nga sa Philippine century na meron tayo. So let's end and stop sharing, going to Google Meet home. And then you may now participate, recite, no, for your some agenda. You may add, no, and do else, no, in accordance with our subject for this afternoon, no, na meron po. Beginning now. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Is there anything a question?
Wala naman po, sir.
Wala po.
Final and sure. Baka mamaya during our exam sabihin nyo may conflict or meron tayong not covered, no, by our topics that include in our exam.
Wala naman po.
Anong ibig sabihin ng wala naman po naintindihan o hindi naintindihan? Wala naman pong naintindihan o meron naman pong naintindihan? Para maliwanag lang.
May naintindihan naman po.
Sigurado kayo? Hmm? Sure po.
Sir, dun po sa sa educational system, 'di ba po, may absence of teaching materials. So,
Mm.
more on ano po 'yan, parang self experience, gano'n, yung mga tinuturo?
Like katulad ng mga books, isa yun sa mga teaching materials that you must be needed as are for our reference of teaching. Like this one that you have doing right now. So if they don't have no the reference book, then where can I get those information? There's an absence of teaching materials. That is an important no requirement in teaching this subject. Without of this, how can I prove no and how can I expand the information about our topic for this day or this lesson. So probably we may encounter no some misleading information, or we may get no wrong information, or maybe we do not know the exactly no the right information that we need to be teach to our students. So it's not only limited on the materials no na meron tayo such books. We have also other materials that we can also no seen as our supplementary materials that we use no in the teaching strategy of this subject, or during the time their subjects na tinuturo po ng mga Spaniards or ng mga Espanyol. Did I answer your question, ma'am or miss?
Yes po, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, very good. Who else or what else? Supposedly, di ba, dapat 4 p.m. ang end natin? Tama ba? Am I correct?
Yes po.
Mm-mm. We will end early because I have a meeting with consultation of the thesis with my advisee, and at the same time with a panel member din po ako. So I need to go early din po. With your permission naman po.
Okay
But
po.
we have already ano naman po a master, and at the same time we discuss no inside all the information no, of my presentation. And yeah, for your clarification, some comments no or some additional you may know right now. Then next meeting, we will discuss no, the lesson 5. So yung lesson 5 natin, mahaba-haba nga lang because beginning from the biography or biographical information of Rizal, some of his no life experiences no in the stays in the Kalamba, no going to childhood memories niya, going to the experiences niya no from his studied in Ateneo and even in the UST. Of course, his challenges that he faces no when he go with other places in the world, like here no their life no in abroad na meron siya. That is one of the major no decisions that he made no in his life, and those things that also that we may cover inside of his achievements, some of the literary or arts no or yung tinatawag nating mga exceptional skills niya that possessed, and of course some of the literary works together with the some of the important details in his travel na meron din po siya from here in the Philippines going to the Spain, no? And of course, no, his involvement, no, with other groups and his, no, affiliation with other people when he stays, no, in the Spain. So Spain, going to the other places, no, in the world, like in Paris, Barcelona, no, others in the Heidelberg, and going to other place nun si Austria, sa Germany, dun yung mga other places pa that we can ano po no discuss furthermore to our subject. And the highlight of this no are the writings of his Noli and Alfili as one of the great contribution, and as mandate by this law of the RA 1425 to be discussed no when we studying no, the life and works of Rizal na subject. So again, uh, any questions, any message, any a reflection, learning that you get, or some sharing of information that you want to know, tell with me and to your classmate also, or at the same time? Wala? All of you are kept in silence then? Sige nga, tawag lang tayo. Tingin tayo ng mga students that are present here. Huwag magla-left the meeting. Sayang ang chance. Sige, eto. Uy, Raylene K. Trobles.
Hello po, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
Ayan. Did you get some learning? Did you expand your learning with our topic for this day about the life and works of Rizal, especially during the 19th century?
Yes, sir. About po sa labor, sa forced labor po.
Sa pilitang paggawa.
Yes, sir. Yung sa, ano po, sa papagtrabaho nila ng mahirap. Tapos, sir, yung mababang sahod po na nakukuha nila is piso or dos, sir. Ganon.
Na peseta, 50.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Then, sir, exempted po yung mga Spanish po, ganon. Yun po yung
Totoo po, nakalagay naman yun doon sa sapilitang paggawa o yung forced labor.
Yun lang po, sir.
Okay, thank you, Miss Raylene. We'll be moving on to another, thank you for your participation. We'll be moving on to another student. So we have, yan, yung katabi mo dito is si Steven. Yes, Mr. Steven.
Yes po, sir.
Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Po, sir.
Can you please share some learnings that you get or did you get from our discussion for this afternoon?
Narinig po ako, sir.
Yes, go ahead,
Opo,
Mr.
sir.
Steven. What is your learning or what is your reflection or realization or what is your sharing to us? Do you have some sharings?
Yung ano po, sir, yung sa human rights nila, sir. Bale po, sir, yung pinagkaitan po yun sa mga Pilipino, sir, ng time po nila na yun.
Pinagkaitan ng?
Yung ilan sa mga human rights, sir, parang sir, unfair yung ng human rights pagdating sa mga Pilipino, sir.
Ano nga yun? You can elaborate, you can explain more, or you can reflect from it as you wish.
Yun lang po, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Ayan. Thank you, Steven. You may turn off your microphone. Thank you for your short sharing, no. Though still lacking yung natin, yung thoughts, but me as I understood, yan po yung about our human rights that you are talking to, and some of an injustice that happened to our ancestors or fellow Filipino during that time. So these are some of the happenings that they did not get unfair justice that should be get no from it. So dapat mayroong pantay-pantay na pagpapatupad no ng batas para sa mga Pilipino at lalong-lalo na sa mga Espanyol na nandirito. Sapagkat no, sa mga bahaging iyon, mayroong mga instances or chances na kung saan pagkaka-Espanyol ang nagkaroon ng sala o nag-commit ng crime, meron silang ano po, parang rights na kung saan ayun, lagi silang na-absuelto kasi sila yung mga Espanyol. Unlike as Filipinos, so, they look as an inferior and then, yan nga, medyo unfair yung ating treatment no of the pagpapatupad ng batas when it comes no commitment doon sa ating mga rights o yung ating mga tinatawag no na fair system no of recognizing no of the rights of these Filipinos and Spaniards no na meron tayo. So next we have sino gusto mag-participate to answer or who can volunteer themselves to answer us?
Sir,
Go ahead, Miss Judith.
ano po, share ko lang po yung natutunan ko po during
Sige, go
Rizal's
ahead.
time po.
Sige.
During Rizal's time po. So, doon po sa time na yun, parang naipapakita na yung, ano po, unequal treatment po sa Filipinos tsaka sa, ano po, Spaniard. Kasi kahit na parang may kakayanan yung mga Filipino, parang dinidiscriminate sila kasi hindi sila Espanyol or yung ganun po. Tapos yung sa mga
Oo,
Espanyol
kapantay o
naman,
kalahi nila.
opo. Tapos
Sige, go
parang
ahead.
mas pinapabura nila yung mga mestizo or yung mga Espanyol po kahit na hindi naman
Mhm.
sila capable dun sa position na yun or work na yun. So, yun lang po.
Yun, tinatalaga sila, no? Or i-appoint sila doon. Though they don't have no, the capacity to do their job, no? And at the same time, they don't have the knowledge about this position. So, they are into, ano lang po ha, into the money that they can get and they can earn from it. And of course, they use it, no, as yung mga bureaucrats na meron tayo. So, talamak yung corruption. So, that's why medyo talagang lugmok o bagsak talaga yung ating sistema ng gobyerno, ng bureaucrats at nung pre-locracia na meron tayo. So because of the influence of the pleasure it serves by the uh, priors during that time as to appoint no their governor general, no, their personal chosen one. So let's move. Uh, who else who want to participate or who want to share their learnings? Miss Alisa, go ahead.
Sir, yung sa ano po, yung sa, tawag dito, yung sa colonial, ano tawag dito?
Colonial. Maraming colonial doon.
Wait lang po,
Go
mali.
ahead. Mm-mm.
Wait, nasan naman yun? Ayun, corrupt colonial po. Kasi, di ba po,
Mm-mm.
sa panahon ngayon, nararanasan pa rin talaga natin siya, especially ngayong pandemic. Pandemic kasi po,
Mm.
di ba
Sige.
po ngayon, masyado ng, ewan ko, parang pera-pera na lang din mostly yung mga government. Char. I mean, ano, tawag dito, nalulubog na rin ulit tayo sa utang, mga ganon. Parang, ano, history repeats itself, ganon.
So, walang learning from it, no?
Opo.
Tama ba? Ayun,
Parang
what?
hindi
Mm.
natuto.
Mm-mm. So baka ano po no, it become no unhabit for us Filipinos yung mga ganyan. But it may change no, it will change by us then kung yan mag-release din tayo or i-voice out din natin yung mga yan or if you want to share our thoughts no from them then especially then then educate them no the same time kasi di naman natin pwedeng baguhin mo ugali ng mga politician na yan that you are pointing out no though tong mga to ay yun nga may influence din and popularity yung kanilang ginagawa. So the money itself it's an ano po no material resources they needed no to become more no powerful and influential to our community or to our certain place no na kung saan tayo nakalocate or nakadestined. And anyway, no, wala namang problema ako sa mga politikong bahala sila dyan. But itself, no, as to relate to our 19th century, ayun nga, meron pa din pong same or similar na some situations na mga tiwali, no, at di mapagkakatiwalaan, mga malulupit, mga makasarili, o talagang walang karapatang manungkulan, or just they are being elected for the sake of popularity or influence, no, of their names, no, of their faces, they because they are celebrity, they are because no yung mga maganda at gwapo or whatsoever no that may attracted to the voters. So you or all no be vote wisely next election yung mga gusto nating pagbabago na mangyari if we want to see it no yung mga yan in the next year or long run na meron tayo. Si Alisa. Tama ba, Alisa?
Yes po, sir.
Did I ano po support your answer, your learning po na na-share mo?
Yes po. Thank you, sir.
Pero walang ano yun walang political agenda. Bahala sila. Basta it relate only for our topic for this afternoon. Sige, we have Christian Andre or Andre.
Sir,
Oh,
yung about din po sa Rizal Council, yung pag-i-implement ng batas, sir. Parang
ano nangyari?
parang mas hinihigpitan nila pagdating sa mga Pilipino. Tapos pagdating sa mga Espanyol, hindi nila masyadong hinihigpitan kasi nga
So very tight for us
yes, sir.
Filipinos when it
Kasi
comes
sir,
to implementing the rule. So when it comes to Spaniards, they loosen no the rule, no? Yung mga meron tayong existing. Tama ba?
yes, sir.
And what else?
Tapos sir, kapag may nagkakasala na Pilipino, parusa agad, mabilis masistensyahan o kaya maparusahan. Samantalang kapag Spanish, minsan hindi na maparusahan, minsan matagal, minsan kumbaga sir, hindi masyadong na-implement yung batas pagdating sa kanila mismo.
That's the unfair na justice system
Yes, sir.
during the
Inequality,
time
sir.
of the royal audiencia. So since no most of the bureaucrats no leaders or under the leadership are the same no or their skin are the same skin also. So that's why hindi siya nangyayari or hindi siya nagiging fair talaga. So for us Filipinos no that involved in that case, most likely pwede tayong maano po, mabaliktad no. But no,
Yes,
yan nga,
sir.
tong real audiensya na yan, they can no, katulad ngayon, sabi nila sa batas ang politika, they can pay for it no yung mga ganyan. So nababayaran yung hustisya, nababayaran yung mga kasalanan nila. So in exchange of that, nababaliktad yung kaso. So yun nga, mga abogadong ano po, mga abogadong maloloko o mga abogado na walang
Abogadong bayarin, sir.
ayoko magsabi. Abogadong maloloko o abogadong hindi tuwid, no? Yan. Pero sabi mo nga, mga bayarin po. So, bahala sila. So, yan po yung meron tayo. Yung pinasok na profesyon nila. Anyway, who else? Ayan, we have Renzo. Renzo? Wala. Tulog yata. Or I do not know what he is doing right now. Howen, are you here? Howen? Howen? Okay, ay sumagot. For the last time, we have Mark. Mark Ivan de la Cruz. Mr. Mark, sumagot ka. Magparamdam ka. You can chat in our chat box po kung gusto mo. Alright, so medyo siguro ano po, no? May problem sa connection or what difficulties na or technically experiencing now by this following person that I have called no their names. Anyway, let us move no again. We have time. Let us time check first no. Check the time. 2:51. So in short, medyo late na rin or we can end na mo naman po no ng early. So yan, kung wala ng concern, we may be end or kung meron po, turn on your microphone or you may chat po. Meron pa po ba? Princess, do you have still questions, clarifications,
Wala na
additional?
po, sir.
Raylene, do you have still questions, clarifications, additional?
Wala na po, sir.
Miss Alisa, do you have?
Wala na po, sir.
Wala pa. So, Mr. Steven, do you have still additional?
Wala po, sir.
Miss Judith, do you have still additional clarification?
Wala na po, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you for your attending us no for this session. Let us pray first no to end our meeting. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. All together. Glory be to the Father and to the Son, to the Holy Spirit, as it was the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Happy eating. Ingat. God bless you po. Kita po tayong muli sa sunod na linggo.